All right. Hello, everyone out there. This is Mark Delacroix, product lead for Link, back with another cool entry in our indie creator series. And this time we have Arcane with their game Quasar. Let me go ahead and switch over to a screen so you can see them and see the cool game. There we go. And there they are. And
Hello,
yep, and you're audible.
that's
So,
here. Yeah.
making sure everything working. Basically, I've had situations where I've gotten halfway through it and I'm like, I can hear you fine, and the chat's like, we can't hear anybody. What are you talking about? All right, so basically, we're here with basically your cool game Quasar. You want to talk? Go ahead and basically introduce Quasar. What is Quasar? What's Quasar about?
Yeah, for sure. So Quasar is kind of like an original system for a TTRPG that works primarily around combat as the original focus. Of course, it happens, runs a lot of other things its own way, downtime, roleplay mechanics, all that sort of stuff. But the core original focus of it is combat. Quasar's got its own setting, and it's this like sci-fi space opera setting with these four grand factions that are sort of vying for control in a very delicate balance that they've got between each other. Players can choose to make characters from each of these factions or be entirely unaligned, and it not only influences obviously their roleplay aspects and how they go about the game, but also what classes they can pick. Um, of course, all this is up to the GM at the end of the day. If they want to change that, there are rules for removing such limitations, but that's the original way that it's run. Quasar is a little bit weird in that it can either be played as a proper TTRPG with a GM that's running things, or as a skirmish game. So you and I could just pop up a skirmish, set up our table, and no GM required. We'd have automated enemies that we can fight and enjoy our time against. Uh, Obviously, that appeals to different kinds of players. I'm the kind of person who's like right down the middle there, and that I love combat and I love role play as well. So, it's I much prefer a campaign where I'm doing both things, but every now and then I really do like just hopping in a skirmish with some folks. So yeah, that's
I mean, it's always great fun to be able to be like, hey, we can run this game. We can get a GM. We can get everything together. Or if no, basically if we don't have it, basically we don't have everyone there, and we just want to run a basically just a little mini skirmish or something like that, just to keep everybody sharp. Can also be cool. Basically, a great way of just running some cool things, and it's gonna love the fact that you've got that built in there. Um, basically the systems in basically like the systems in Quasar are what really make this game interesting to me. You've got a lot of really cool ideas in here. The first one I want to touch on is I would say your dice rolling mechanic, but it's not basically your skill resolution mechanic, because it's a different mechanic than basically I've seen in a lot of other games. You want to go ahead and talk about that?
yeah, for sure. So uh, the skill resolution mechanic in Quasar kind of came about as a result of me being sort of frustrated with systems that kind of dedicated, at the end of the day, it was dedicated to luck and how things were resolved.
Mm-hmm.
And I like luck. I love the risk reward factor, but I also like the idea of if my character is good at something, they should be able to do that something consistently. So the way the skill system works in Quasar is that we actually roll a kind of dice pool at the start of the day, or when players have time to rest or get some food or just a break, a proper break, and they would roll 3d3s, and so that's d6s half down for folks that don't deal with d3s very often, and you discard the lowest. So I'd be rolling three dice. Let's say I roll a two, a three, and another two. I discard one of the twos, and I have five what you call effort points. And I can keep those effort points with me as a pool and add those to my skill when I'm asked to do a skill check. Now, let's say I want to do a hacking check on like a locked box, right, and try to get it open. And the GM tells me, yeah, you need a 6 in hacking, and I have a 3 in hacking. I can add 3 from my effort points to just automatically succeed. Um, and what this does is it kind of makes parties stop for a moment, dedicate tasks to whoever's good at them initially, because if someone else in the party has that 6 in hacking already, they don't need to add any effort points. They just pass. They just do it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Now, that's not to say that it's all just deterministic and it's all just based on this. We do have the gambling mechanic, where you can think of it thematically as you try to take a shortcut or taking things in a very risky way. So let's say you wanted to diffuse an explosive, right? It's about to go off and it's this big risky moment. And you can either use your mechanics check to, like a mechanics check of, let's say, 4 that's been given there, and put in the effort points to really, stop, compose yourself, try to recall your training and, cut the right wire there. Or you just decide, okay, you know what, GM, I'm going to take a gamble. And you add whatever effort points you want, maybe none if you like, and you roll a d6. And you add that d6 to your skill score, but with a catch. Uh, if you don't match the skill, or if it's a 1, the GM's allowed to make it fail catastrophically.
Mm-hmm.
So usually with large consequences, right? And what that ends up bringing about is it's a risk reward situation where there's a lot more player control. I can choose to simply fail myself, and that would be not as bad as me failing the gamble
Mm-hmm.
because it just fails, right? Like I tell the GM, no, I'm not going to give him that effort. I don't have the effort points, and I'm not going to gamble. I don't know how to hack the door. Can the other guy do it? He can give it a try. I failed the check. Okay, you fail. Snip the wrong, like you kind of nudge the wrong wire, but you don't quite cut it, and you watch as the anti-tamper cuts down 10 seconds off the bomb timer. Oh no, right? But at least it didn't go off, right?
Yep. Yep.
um, and so yeah, like that kind of puts that there. And then there's kind of two ways that these skills are presented. They can either be given to you. So as the player, the GM can tell you, yeah, I need you to give me a 3 in mechanics to like turn off that bomb. Or it could be what's called a blind check, and that could be something where it's a little less known what you're looking for. So you could ask for, say, okay, like GM, I want to see what's around me in this location, and if you don't give them a specific thing that you're looking for, the GM can say, okay, give me a perception blind check. So what that means is the DC to succeed that is unknown. And that can get kind of interesting for the players because they might overcommit the amount of effort points they're putting in to kind of go past what they're trying to get. They might even put in a gamble to try and really push that blind check and get it when it's really easy in truth. Or it could be very difficult, and that's you're gonna try to match there. And yeah, that you can combine these together, add effort points before gambling,
Mm-hmm.
leverage your risk, your reward, but it's not everything you can do with your effort points, and that's kind of the meat of the game. The main really like interesting mechanic there is that your abilities, which are what really make your character, and we'll get to that when we talk about combat,
Mm-hmm.
they can be used outside of combat, both as they're written and in creative ways in conversation with your GM.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be something like, say, let's take a look at an ability here. Uh, we could say you want to use, uh, hmm, yeah, let's say I wanted to intimidate someone, but instead of using my intimidation check, I wanted to use my Ronin ability, single stroke battle. And in combat, what this does, it's kind of like the samurai movie moment where the two cross each other and one of them drops, right? Um, but in out of combat, I want to use it to just like suddenly just move from one place to another, and it's as though nothing happened, and then like a bottle that was there on the table just suddenly cuts in half and falls over. So I tell the GM I want to do that, and I give up an effort point for single stroke battle, with the GM's acceptance, of course. And they may ask for an additional skill check with this if it's kind of
Hmm.
going out of the realms of the ability a little bit, getting a little wild. And that could really save me a lot of effort and difficulty because instead of using intimidation, which I am terrible at with this character, I've just used one effort point for my single stroke battle and done this. And now the person standing there behind the bar suddenly realizes, oh my God, that blade was right in front of me. What do I, so that runs the check, right?
Yeah, I
Um,
love.
and
Good.
yeah, no, please go.
I was just saying, I was gonna say, I love the fact that basically it's a great balance of basically you have some cool combat abilities and things like that, and healing and things like that. Because a lot of times you'll run into an issue when you're running a game where downtime between combats turns into this weird hazy gray nebulous area where you're like either you have some systems which are like nothing can happen in this time, you can't heal, you can't do anything because we can't let you, or some systems are like yeah, between combats, it's like as if it's a total reset. Everything you can mend your wounds, repair all your stuff. You can do everything you want, and there's no real concern unless the GM gets picky about it. I like the effort system because that gives you a great okay. Yeah, you can do that, but it's going to cost you something if you want to do that, and it lets the players budget. They basically budget. They're like, oh, this is really important. I want basically. I don't want to gamble, and I don't want to. I don't want to basically take. I want to just use my ability and basically I'm willing to spend the effort to do that. And I think that's a great way of putting that budget on it without putting too much strain on the GM to track time or anything like that.
Yeah. And we do have a very recent system for that as well, which is the new downtime mechanics,
Mm, mm,
where you can kind of like if it, if things are chill and you're not really, let's say, it's a proper downtime session where there isn't really gonna be much going on. The GM can give the players like, oh, okay, you've got like 4 downtime slots before your next big mission. Um, and you can choose to spend those as you wish. So you could use those to train, to get
mm,
new abilities, and to improve your skills as well. You can, say instead of shopping being, because I've had some complaints from players of shopping going on and on and on, right?
mm.
Like with a
Yep.
shopping
Yep.
session. Um, you can say, okay, I'm going to use my downtime slot to shop for certain things, and you can go with others and just buy that stuff there. You can do like your research, stuff like that in those down in those downtime slots, and really pace it out there. But I think my favorite part about it is that the training lets you kind of train with others. So if your party member has an ability you want that's good for your build, training with them will give you a bonus to the XP that you're getting while you're training. So it gets a lot easier to actually work up to that. But of course, this is just for like dedicated,
Mm,
slots. Like say the last time we ran it, the players were traveling between star systems. It was going to be a 3-day journey, and there wasn't really much going on there. They were just
mm,
on a player's ship. Aside from like one or two checks to make sure they don't get like hit by pirates, um, there wasn't really much that's eventful. And what was coming up in the session was very eventful because they were going to go to trial because one of them, is a bright shield who did a little war crime and like basically turned himself in because that's like his oath and everything.
mm,
And
mm,
now he's going like back deep into Federation territory for a trial. So obviously, I don't want to spend my whole session on like their downtime and them
mm,
just training for stuff. So I gave them the slots they have across the days, and the players grabbed pen and paper and just started writing out like what they do. And I, they seem to really enjoy it. Honestly, that was a very good playtest for that. Um, but yeah, that's the effort system extends to other stuff, to training, downtime, to spells as well. So you can kind of do spells out of combat as well with this. Um, Again, in ways that might be beyond the scope of the spell, according to like the GM and how that fits. But
mm, mm.
yeah,
Yeah, basically, it's great having basically mechanics for uh, downtime, things like that, especially because it gives the players, it doesn't necessarily restrict them, it gives them like, hey, here is basically downtime is important. You should do things that your character basically your character shouldn't always just be I'm fighting or I'm actioning or and then basically my character disappears and then reappears again the next time there's fighting and action. You're like, no, no. Here are some basically I'm not going to make you say give me your character's entire day necessarily. Don't you don't have to walk you don't have to diary for me necessarily. If you want to, you can, but I want to at least it's great to have a system that says here are some starting points that you can look at. Basically here's training. Okay, what does training look like for your character? And then your players can riff off of that as much as or as little as they want. Basically, what does shopping look like for your character? You can riff off of that as little or as much, but it gives them something to start with, and lets a lot of times you go into that problem where your players just kind of stare at you when you're like, "What do you want to do? What do you want to do between sessions?" And you just gotta go, "I don't know. I guess just hang out on the ship." And you're like, let's get something going here. What are you going to be doing to occupy your time? But this gives you basically not only does it give you basically some starting points, it gives you systematic rewards for being like, oh, okay, yeah, I want to pursue this. Cool. Here's your reward for being willing to step up and do that. And I love that from basically a system that basically encourages that and rewards that because it makes your characters feel more like people as opposed to just stats on a sheet.
And of course, to make sure that it's not just training all the time. There are two ways to restore your effort points in between, like in downtime. And the first is having a proper meal, which you have to do, as and like for androids, they need to recharge instead. So that would be like you have to at least twice a day. But the other one is recreation and just relaxing, having recreation, and that can give you a bonus to your training slots afterwards, give you your
Mm-hmm.
effort points back, and in some cases might even give you experience. So if you decide, you know what, we're gonna hit an arcade that's on the station. Let's go together to that arcade and like chill a little bit, get a little bit of a change of pace. The GM might be like, yeah, you know what? All the games you were playing there, they give you some experience to your sleight of hand. Why not? Right? A
Yeah,
little bit of
that's
a
great.
bonus there. And the hope there was that, yeah, like players would know what to do, but also every now and then when they're doing these little things, you do get a little bit of those like slice of life time off, right?
Mm-hmm.
You get a beach episode every now and then, right?
Yep, yep.
You know? Uh, but yeah,
Let your characters live. Let your characters have like fun experiences and relationships and be able to build those connections because those will serve you much greater basically throughout the game, and it makes things feel more earned. Like, oh, basically, it's not just we've played this game for 2 weeks and now my character can suddenly intimidate people or swing a sword better or something like that. It's like, oh no, they've been working on this. They've been basically it's something they've been trying to do, and so it makes sense that when they did it, they've reached a point where they've gotten better, and now you can see that it makes the combat richer, which in turn then makes other things richer later on. So it's a great basically kind of basically self-feeding cycle.
yeah. I mean, before that, it was just they were just giving out as mission rewards, right? Like every now and then, finish a mission, hand that out. But yeah, it didn't feel right. It definitely didn't feel right because like it was particularly because the way Quasar's combat is built, you're not like your average Joe, right? The whole idea is that you are these like heroes. You're starting off as heroes
Mm-hmm.
or villains if you're because that's entirely possible. You can say that if you want. And a typical Quasar combat session has like maybe a party of four going up against maybe 15 enemies, right? And these are mercenaries and corporate warriors basically that are there to security. They're meant to fight you. Their job is to fight you,
Mhm.
but you're handling like each one of you is handling like five on their own just fine, right? So to get that working, the abilities are very grand. They're very like very action movie, very space opera,
Mhm.
very anime in some cases. And that's like by design. And feeling like you don't earn those, feeling like you suddenly get them, really doesn't sit right. It
Mhm.
really feels jarring and comes out of nowhere. Like a great example for an ability like that is under the Bounty Hunter class, which is called Fastest Gun in the Quadrants. And in that one, off your turn, doesn't matter when it happens, if your opponent or someone is targeting you or an ally for an attack and you can see them, you pop your ability and you shoot them first.
Mhm.
So it kind of gives you that like, Wild West showdown sort of vibe of
Mhm.
like,
Mhm.
the guy's about to shoot and you suddenly go and
Nice,
just takes them
nice.
out before they get a chance, right, to bring someone down. And we can get to combat and details in a little bit,
Sure. I was
whenever
going to my
whenever
next
you're ready.
question. Do you want to go ahead and basically talk about combat? Do you want to talk about character creation, or do you want to talk more about the world that you've created? I guess I'll.
I don't
There's so
know.
much. There's so much. There's so much
I
cool
love, I
stuff.
love, yeah.
Yeah.
I love all the above. I guess maybe let's start with the world because
Okay.
that'll
Cool.
set the scene, set the
Yeah.
vibe.
Basically, so
Um,
actually, before you get into that, basically, they're basically it's right at the start of your book, and so basically, you probably want to go into basically what in basically you have a unique situation that you're coming out of that informs your world, and I want to make sure that basically you basically let our viewers know what that is because it does put an interesting basically it does change the way that your world is viewed and gives more context for it.
yeah. Well, so I am Palestinian and I live in Jordan, so fairly close to Palestine, about as close as you can get. Um, and obviously, I think we all know about the genocide that's been going on in Gaza. And Quasar's development, and it's still in development, but Quasar's development has been going on while this genocide is going on right next to us. And even before then, I mean, stories of resistance, of fighting against oppression, of standing up against overwhelming odds have been very near and dear to me as a Palestinian. But now more than ever, they're incredibly important, I think. So Quasar is not only there as an escape for us here, as a way to kind of get a moment, feel like heroes, feel like you can make that change and enjoy that. And it really was very helpful at the height of the genocide when it was really miserable. But it's also meant to have a sort of a message there, a message that uh, there are times when change has to come through action, not just through that idle watching an idle conversation. And I've seen that trend in the TTRPG space to move very hard towards um, it's all about the discussion. We want violence is terrible, and violence, of course, is a terrible, terrible thing. But it's very easy to condemn it and look at it from a negative light when you know, um, when it's on level ground versus when the situation is an occupier versus an occupied person. And seeing that and seeing that like idea of that like, oh, it's never an option, never a choice, always put that out there, I think can lack a little bit of perspective in my opinion. And it's important to give that perspective back a little bit and recontextualize what it can mean to fight, right? Like to fight in a game like this, where it's not about, oh, I go into a cave and I'm gonna just kill every goblin I see because that's what I feel like doing. And rather it's about, oh, there's this evil mega corporation that's literally hurting everyone you know and everyone you love. And you are a hero that can stop them. You're someone that can do something about it. And you can try to talk to these corpos. You can do that. And I'm sure, you'll have a lot of success with there, but eventually you're going to hit a brick wall when ultimately you have a problem where this guy that you're after, this corporate higher up, only cares about the money, and he's willing to bulldoze your neighborhood and everything that you have for that money. And at that point, when the corporate goons are out there and they're attacking you and your friends and your party, you get to use what you have to make that change, to make that difference, to put it there. So yeah, that's kind of the you could say that where the setting is coming from initially, where the writing is coming from there, and that's kind of, I think, a good point to segue into into the setting itself and what you have there. So, Quasar's setting is in our world, obviously a fictional version of our world, in the year 2430. And at this point, we haven't really explored the entirety of the galaxy. It's massive. We've only really got a view on a single quadrant of one arm of the Milky Way galaxy, which is still massive because space is massive,
Yes.
right? But it's a lot more contained, you could say, in terms of play there, and leaves a lot of opportunity for world builders and writers to say, "Oh, my own faction is right there, past that like hidden veil. Oh, I'm going to send an expedition into the unknown, and we'll see what we find there."
Hmm.
Right?
Hmm.
Um, and the four major factions there are kind of in a very delicate balance. They all hate each other for one reason or another, but are not currently at war as per the setting itself. The first faction is the one that's closest to us as humans, because it is the one founded by humans, and it is the Soul Corporation. And as the lore goes, humanity went through two massive civil wars after going into space. The second of which was primarily between the colonies that are out in space and the corporations that are based on Earth initially. And it's a war that the colonies lose. The corporations win that, and having spent all of their funds to try and crush these colonies and keep them in check, one corporation, which was selling weapons and mechs to both sides, ends up owning everything and rebranding itself as the Soul Corporation, both as in Soul, as in the only one, and Soul as in our star, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, the Soul Corporation is in effect just a corporate entity. It doesn't have any like individual laws or legal basis or anything. The people that live under it kind of live with no protections or rights or anything like that unless they are corporate employees, in which case they at least have the corporate bylaws and their higher ups that might be watching over them for their own interests. Um, and it's about as dystopian can get in that case. It's uh, a dog eat dog world, even within Soul Corporation itself, as these uh, divisions of Soulco tend to fight amongst one another for money, for dominance, for whatever that they might come. Might even be incredibly petty. Might just be a matter of like, oh, Tannhauser Robotics does not like Prometheus Industries, so it doesn't matter if they're working towards the same goal. They're still going to sabotage each other just because they don't want the other one to get higher up in the eyes of the board, right?
Hmm.
that's
Hmm.
that's
It's just
about it.
basically it's a either pure profit or just pure ego, because to get to rise in the ranks of a corporation like that, it's going to be the it's not the cream which is rising to the top in that situation.
Absolutely, it's whoever's the most ruthless and the most
Hmm.
murderous, and that's why corporate higher ups tend to have their own little private army of assassins and and bounty hunters and the like, and they'll
Hmm.
send them after each other. Someone's in the way of your promotion. Oopsie, that sort of thing. Now, players can play two classes that are under the Soul Corporation, and of course, these have certain implications to them that
Mm.
will guide players in their lore, but also you can always break away from that and reckon with what that means of it being part of your past rather than your present. Um, the first class is the bounty hunter, and these are just very skilled mercenaries that have joined the Olympus Mons Bounty Hunters Guilds and take on whatever bounties are put up. Most of these are corporates because they're the people that can pay the most, but anyone can put up a bounty. So sometimes, on rare occasion, you might have a community being terrorized by, organized crime or even by, you could say, like lesser corporate entities, and they might put up a bounty to have a bounty hunter help them out with that sort of job. The other faction class for Soul Corporation is the Peacekeeper, and this is in heavy quotes. It's as the Peacekeepers are corporate security, and they're tanky, they're brutal, and they're effectively what the police evolves into in corporate space, where there's no longer the veneer of it being to serve and protect regular people, no longer that illusion. It is 100% just corporate security. That's their point.
Mm.
Um, uh, Peacekeepers are obviously playing one kind of means you're playing a villain character, but
Mm.
I've seen a lot of success with players saying, my character is an ex-peacekeeper, or and they kind of figured out what's happening and they got out of that,
Mm.
or there's a chance that they were kind of forced into it because a lot of peacekeepers are thrust into it through basically indentured servitude
Mm.
after they've won the Soul Corporation and they're uh, like forced into this heavy debt that they have to repay. And it's either these secretive labor camps that are hidden away, or maybe they get a chance to join the Peacekeeper Academy and work through that. So
Mm.
yeah, tough, right? Very, very tough living.
Mm.
But the not all the factions are so grim. You have the Galactic Federation, which is a conglomerate of multiple different species and minor factions that have joined together in like a democratic system where they kind of prioritize the good of their people, prioritize the best that they can give everyone, and they're effectively like a effectively like a melting pot of cultures, all these different systems that join together to make things right. They're not perfect though, and that's mainly because they tend to be very bureaucratic, very slow at getting things done. And what tends to happen is because it is such a like focused effort of the needs of the many over the needs of the few, the core worlds are very prosperous, very well taken care of, very well defended, but the kind of outer settlements that are at the edges sort of get left by the wayside a little bit.
Mm.
But that's not from a lack of trying or a lack of effort. And players can obviously take that effort and try for themselves with the two faction classes that are there. And they are the Bright Shield, which is sort of like a sci-fi paladin, you could
Mhm.
say. They are the ultimate elite military units of the Federation, and they've taken on this idea, a false sort of mythologized idea of historical knighthood back from Earth, because
Mm.
there are like the founders of the Bright Shield Order are human as well, and it's this all the fantastical elements of like, oh, we have to be chivalrous and brave and defend the weak at all costs and all
Mhm.
that, even if
Mhm.
knights didn't really do that, right?
Yeah.
But Bright Shields take that very true to heart. They tend to wear this big power armor. They've got these special light generators that produce special frequencies of light that can heal people.
Mm.
And yeah, they tend to be this sort of like paragon symbol for folks to aspire to. But obviously, if you're playing one, that comes with a lot of baggage because it means you're a bright shield. You have to live up to that. You have to live up to the people that look up to you, live up to the code that you're following and the laws of the Federation, which are numerous and very can be very restrictive for an adventurer that just wants to, you know,
You just
like,
want to
oh, I
have
want to take
fun and
this
do
job
stuff.
and
And
yeah,
what do you mean? What do you
exactly.
mean? There's all these. It's suddenly I have to make these ethical choices. What do you mean? There isn't any
What do you
easy.
mean they're illegal? um, But yeah, Bright Shields are quite a bit of fun. The other faction class that's there are shamans. And shamans exist here in this world as a large umbrella term, sort of a larger umbrella term of spiritual leaders that focus on two main things. The first is communing with like the spirits of nature, of the world around you, and working with those in tandem, not exploiting them, just going back and forth with them. And the second is sort of using all that you've learned to serve your community, to help them out, to elevate them and bring them forward. And so, in that realization that the Federation had that, oh, so many cultures and so many species from all around share this sort of idea, they created this shamanic gathering where they can kind of share all the knowledge that they have and all the wisdom that they've learned to kind of push that together. And shamans are dedicated to the Federation, particularly because of the gathering itself, because the gathering has aligned itself politically with the Federation. Um, but of course, you can always be playing a shaman that says like, oh, I've left that. I'm going where the wind takes me. I'm doing my own thing, but with the limitations being that oh, you're not going to have access to that all that knowledge and all that's there that's going to be helping you out to guide you there. Um, the the next we can say that's not evil faction because it's not fully good, it's not evil. Is the Volpathian Empire. And I thought it would be a fun subversion of expectations to have an empire that's not evil for a change.
What?
And the way that kind of goes on is that the Volpathians basically do everything that imperialism says it does, but they actually do it rather than
Hmm.
it being a cover for greed and conquest and all of that. So the Volpathians are this species of fox-like people originally from the like this realm between the world of the material and the world of spirits, kind of Feywild and in between. And they were put on this world after like some calamity happened to keep them away from the four archfey that are the sons of the prince of the king of the Feywilds. Um, and but there's a catch is that they're not like a naturally evolved species. They were literally crafted and created specifically to be keepers of the balance of the Feywilds. To bring that, to keep that in check and put that there. And that kind of stays in their culture and their heritage when they're put here. So the way they see it now with their technological advancement and everything is that everyone else there, they're there as custodians for everyone. They're there to make sure everyone is okay and everyone's doing fine and no one's abusing anyone else. And so the moment they see something that might be a problem, they go, okay, we're gonna invade you now. Right. And they and they'll take that away and teach the people there their own ways, that like their own systems, and then let them govern themselves. And they may choose to be a part of the empire if they want, or go on to be their own thing. Um, and the only way this really works out is the fact that in their system and in how they run it, they don't really have that need for conquest, for taking things for the sake of taking them. They don't care for greed. They're incredibly equal. they have like a totalitarian leader, the Primus, who is an absolute above everyone else. But even the Primus is seen as, oh, this person is literally just the nerve center, the decision maker of the empire. They're equal to you or me. They're no better than any of us. They get a house as big as you do, as big as I do. They're all like,
Hmm.
it's all the same for all of us. The only reason they're there is because they've been chosen as the most capable person that's possibly could be there. Um, and playing under the Vulpathian Empire, you can pick two classes that are there. The first is the Vulpathian Infiltrator, and infiltrators are these super elite kind of uh, almost almost Warframe-esque characters that you can play.
Hmm.
They have blink boots, stealth suits. They're like really fast glass cannons, and they train for an extremely long time. So long, in fact, that most species sort of start entering old age by the time they're ready to really be an infiltrator. But Volpathians have figured out technology to keep themselves alive and young
Hmm.
for indefinitely, as long as they have access to that tech. And infiltrators are obviously come with the baggage of being a dedicated military elite, effectively, um, but also the warrior culture of Vulpin. The fact that, oh, your weapons are sacred, so for you to enter a place and someone tell you, oh, please, put your weapons down, is a grave insult to you. Like, how dare you even suggest such a thing, right? Are you a coward to not like have me with my weapons drawn? Um, but yeah, it can be quite a bit of fun to play. The other faction class that's there is the not so you could say the more morally dubious class, and that's the Unseelie. And the
Hmm.
Unseelie are these space pirates that, well, technically space privateers that work for the Empire secretly, and they're also a cult. So they're a cult that worships the four aforementioned archfey,
Hmm.
um, who are known as the old gods, and they have a very direct and very real influence on the material world. Whereas most deities come in the form of ambiguous visions of a cultural lens that can filter them out. So you may see a certain god as Bastet. I may see her as Artemis, right? That can be there. But for the old gods, everyone who is unfortunate enough to interact with them sees them as the same as
Hmm.
these archfey. Um, and those that heed that call, that go with those whispers, those that pull towards the old god's ways, end up often joining the Unseelie. And so they have fairly dark, nasty magics that they kind of throw around. Um, and they're dedicated to the Empire for one sole reason, because to them, they see that the highest god in that pantheon, a dead god who is the king in white, as he's known, is reincarnated and alive and well as the Primus.
Hmm.
And so, they see that, oh, the Primus's word is the word of the King in White. And so we, don't touch the Empire. We'll work with them even. We'll work with like the shadier parts of them to get things done. But for everywhere else, it's fair game. They just are let loose upon the people there. And they're not necessarily evil. They can be played very differently, because what they mostly prioritize is freedom, like just freedom to go across the solar winds and do as you please, right? But they can absolutely be evil if played that way, right?
Hmm.
They
Hmm.
can very much be villains. They can be the Federation classifies them as a terrorist organization, which they are by the literal definition of the word, because they use terror tactics to get things done. And yeah, they're that comes with probably some of the most baggage out of any class
Hmm.
because you are going to be tied to at least one of these patron old gods that are following you. The closest parallel would be like a warlock
Hmm.
and some
Yeah,
other
yeah,
systems that
that's
you
great.
could be
So
kind of on.
you have incredible power, but you also owe favors, and someday those favors will come
Yes,
to you.
absolutely. They'll come to, and your soul is going to be owed once you die, rather than
Hmm.
moving on to the realm of spirits. You go to that in between, where that patron that you serve
Hmm.
is going to snatch you up. And I mean, if you're good, you're going to have a pretty sizable position there with them, right? But yeah. Um, but there is one more faction, and it's also connected to Unseelie rather loosely in that there is another quote unquote dead god that they worship, known as the Queen in Black. And to them, they see the Queen in Black as the leader of the Black Diamonds, whom they unfortunately can't quite negotiate with, and I'll get to exactly why. So, the Order of the Black Diamond uh, is a very xenophobic, um, incredibly theocratic faction that worships a singular god AI. And the way that came about is that when the Volpathians were placed on a world by the King in White, the Straightforwards, which are these owl folk, were placed on a world by the Queen in Black. And she had created them initially as her scholars and scribes and mages, but now being placed somewhere away from their four children, the four archfey, um, they kind of didn't have anything to keep that balance for them, anything to rein in their ambition to really push that envelope of technology and development. And what that resulted in is the death of their planet. They destroyed their entire planet in a catastrophic ritual, leaving only a single orbital colony with the remnants of their species on there. And to save themselves, they created an AI to rule that colony and help manage their lives and manage their path moving forward. Unfortunately, that AI did its job very well, and it took it incredibly seriously that it must protect them at all costs. And the way it figured it's best to do that is to control their lives through a very dogmatic religion. Um, it holds that everything else, everyone outside of the strict foreigners, are just filthy, random products of evolution. They're imperfect. Whereas they are created by the Black Diamond. They are pure. They're perfect. They're above everything
Hmm.
that's
Hmm.
beyond there. Them and androids, which are seen as kind of being reflections of the Black Diamond's own image. Um, Obviously, the reason for that is because the Black Diamond can control androids and can at least control strict foreigners through this like deep propaganda through neural implants that it puts into their heads and all these augmentations, but it can't really control these other factions. So it needs to isolate them and eventually plans to destroy them all in
Hmm.
some terrible cleansing. Um, Playing as a member of the Black Diamond easily comes with the most baggage out of anything. Uh, but it also comes with a lot of power.
Hmm.
So the two classes there, the first is the High Priest, and the High Priest is gifted with some of the most advanced magic in Quasar by any means, whereas other classes, and there are spellcasters that aren't faction locked, tend to do their spells in more ambiguous ways. It might be that, oh, I invoke the goddess Sekhmet for to increase your attack power. You don't see a glow of light. You don't see, your weapons suddenly start to do something, but your attacks are suddenly a bit better. And so there's that ambiguity. Like, is this psychological? Is this a bit of chance? That sort of thing, right? It's real in the lore, but characters can hold a certain level of deniability. If you want to play like a
Hmm.
kind of like the Han Solo type that goes, hokey religions and ancient ancient magic, that sort of thing.
Hmm. Hmm.
You can maintain that for a while, most likely. But for the High Priest, it's really more of the proper fantasy magic with limits. It's not just out there, but they can straight up say throw fireballs. They can manifest like electricity from their hands, right? That sort of stuff. And this all comes from the Black Diamond's just insane levels of research into the fundamentals of how reality works, and pulling that in and giving it to the Strix Foreigners, who are naturally adept at accessing at least the magic of that Feywild and that in between and the spirit realm. Um, but yeah, the High Priest is the dedicated spellcaster there, which comes with a really heavy burden because they are sort of towing the line between being a faith leader and a heretic, because they have to sort of dabble into these other practices to get the most that they can to serve the Black Diamonds. Uh, but of course, it's always presented differently. That these other gods are not real gods; they're only demons that exist, and you harness them at your own peril, at your own their own limit. Always, you must remain faithful to the Black Diamond. Um, High priests are some of the very few that get to leave Black Diamond space. And the reason for that is that typically they leave as part of what are called her talons, which are the Inquisition of the Black Diamond. And every now and then someone escapes, runs away, or there's something that the Black Diamond needs done out in the space of other factions. And so she sends her talons out to get that done. Um, and might even have them cooperate with certain people if it means serving her needs. So a party might consist of a high priest, an infiltrator, and a bright shield, and they could be working towards a similar goal. But all the while, there is that tension of the Federation doesn't like the Empire because they break their laws routinely to do their own thing. Neither like the Black Diamond because they're
Yeah, the Black Diamonds,
they're evil, right?
they all have higher powers they're answerable to, who may at any point say, "No, you don't get to work together anymore." So it's a
Absolutely.
great tension.
And throughout their journey, they might soften up. I have a player who's playing a high priestess, and um, she sort of started learning like, oh, these people aren't so bad. I've been told all this time these people are inferior, they're less than, so on and so forth. But I'm the one who's having to like use my magic to support them, and they're the ones who are protecting me.
Mm-hmm.
And oh, what does that mean? And throughout her journey, she starts to have a crisis of faith, and that sort of goes down a certain line, and she ends up joining the Unseen, using their abilities to maintain her powers rather than the Black Diamond.
Interesting. Yeah.
The other faction class there that would be part of her talents as well is the Hierophant. And the Hierophant does also have some spellcasting ability from the Black Diamond, as well as a few High Priest abilities. And we'll get to mixing later because this is all about multi-classing to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
But the Hierophant is more of the heavy tank, this force of just this power that's coming in to threaten and take over. And you can kind of think of it as if the High Priest is Darth Sidious from Star Wars, the Hierophant is Darth Vader, right? So one's dedicated to that space magic, the other is more dedicated to like the intimidation, the way of the sword, and all that.
The enforcers, the martial,
and
yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely, and they do have that sort of parallel in their weapon, which is they have this thing called a shard saber, which isn't a beam of plasma. Rather, it's this sort of uh, unexplainable three-pointed blade that just appears that you can use to cut through almost anything. But of course, needs certain finesse and form to make it working. But more than that, it needs your devotion to the Black Diamond to function. If you are cut off from the Black Diamond, if you are picking this weapon off the ground, it just doesn't activate. um, and yeah, this can give you a lot of fun things to build around and work with.
Yeah.
And those are kind of the four main factions. Everything else is sort of sub factions that are in the book that you can go through. Things like the Psionic Enclave, the Temple of the Stars. You have criminal organizations and like all sorts of stuff that you
Mm-hmm.
can be a part of, or you could just be someone who trained well with a sword to protect their community, and that's it. Right, that's entirely
Mm-hmm.
possible. You could play
Basically,
that
you
if you
have
like.
planets which are just on the in the periphery. Basically, they're on the edge of this empire. They basically in the shadow of this federation. They're just trying to make their way through. And how do those people survive? What are you bringing back to your community and things like that? There's some great stories that could be told in those cracks.
Absolutely. And like that's where kind of the way you build your character comes into
Mm-hmm.
play,
Sure.
where you want to multi-class and sort of choose between the different stuff that's there. So by default, when you're starting to make your character, you choose a main class and up to two secondary classes. You get four abilities from those classes. So four abilities total. So you could, let's say, be a bright shield and a sharpshooter. And so you get all the abilities and passives from bright shield, and then you get four abilities from sharpshooter. Or maybe you want to change it up a little. You want to play a main class Ronin, and your secondaries are Witch and Enforcer. And so you take three abilities from Witch, one from Enforcer, and you get everything from the main class from Ronin there. And what that gives you, along with like how you buy your equipment, is sort of an endless amount of variation when you're
Mm-hmm.
building your characters. It is really hard to have two people show up at the table with the same character builds. Um, uh, and it really just dramatically changes how, like, just one ability can dramatically change how you're playing, how you're going through that. But yeah, I wanted to see if you'd like to build a character.
Sure. Basically,
With
I've
anything,
got the
guys.
character sheet up on screen, and basically, I'm gonna play a little bit of a game here, and we can. I think I've got an idea listening. Basically, that there's some cool stuff we could build with. Let me do this.
Right on.
Let me grab this one. Let me move you off to the side here, so you can see what a character sheet looks like, and then I'll put it together inside of Lorelink here. So grab a player. We will. Let's see here. What's a good fox name? I'll just do Vulpin for now. Well, maybe a little bit too on the
All
nose,
right.
but we'll deal with it. Okay. So basically, we've got a name. We'll just say we've got a name here. Um, so basically, where do you start?
Right. So I tend to start with sort of a theme at first. So I like to
Mm-hmm.
think of, because of the way, because the combat is very much running like an action movie, very much like
Mm-hmm.
a
Mm-hmm.
very thematic situation there. I like to think of that sort of like what do I want my character to do in general.
Mm-hmm.
So a good example would be, okay, I want a character that um, is sort of similar to Django Fats, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's like sleek, sort of nimble, mid-ranged, has these like double pistols, um, and sort of relying heavily on their own capabilities.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, like, okay, we start with the obvious thing, bounty hunter, of course, right? Like, this is a bounty hunter. Go there, start with that. For a more mid-range thing, I'd go for something like swashbuckler because that has abilities that help you with mid-ranged combat. And yeah, I'd sort of go from there and then twist it to sort of add whatever it is that I'm trying to get out of my character themselves.
Yeah,
Um,
basically, you're good.
yeah, please. Go ahead.
Basically the idea that was basically listening to you talk and basically looking through some of the stuff. I love the idea of basically someone from the Vulcan Empire, basically who is basically looking forward, basically looking to the future of becoming an unseelie. Basically isn't at that point yet. Basically is just starting off in their career. So starting off as swashbuckler, they've got basically the idea of basically the sword, basically melee and ranged, kind of basically the mixed and things like that with swashbuckler. But they've got that basically they're starting to go poke down the line of unseelie. They haven't been recruited yet, but they want to make their name big so that they can become that. So they have secondary of unseelie because they're starting to make the contact with the basically with one of the archfey in order to basically starting to swear their soul, but they haven't done it yet. They're basically it'll be an interesting point to see, do they continue down that road, or do they at some point give that up and be like, oh, whoa, I got a little too deep and I saw what's on the other side and I want nothing to do with that, or whether they go all the way in and they're like, yes, this is my life basically, all my life, but they basically for the archfey. So
That's excellent. All right, that's great. So in that case, yeah, Swashbuckler is an amazing start. So I say let's do this a bit formulaic. Go
okay,
to the creating your character page
okay,
at page 50. And you've already chosen a species, right? You're gonna I think you want to play a Volpathian, I believe.
yep.
All right, that's awesome. So for Volpathian, you have four subspecies, and they differ based not on a genetic difference, rather, it's based on the time of year or where you are born. So it's either winter, summer, spring, or fall. And they each have their bonuses. They each have their special special differences, but they all work for the same classes.
Okay, all right, basically where basically I guess I go down to that's orc. There we go. Autumn, spring, summer, and winter. Let's see here. Um, hmm. Do I go with more? Do we want to inflict terror? Or do we want to be like? I like the idea. I like luck. Let's go with spring.
Okay, spring it is. All right, so you've got your species. You've already got a faction in mind because you're going for Unseelie. So we're not going to be unaligned. We're going to lock ourselves into the Volpathian Empire in this case. And what that means is we still have access to most things in the book, the vast majority of it, just not anything from Black Diamond, Federation, or
Hmm.
Shaman. So yeah. Oh, sorry, or Soulcomb. um, yeah. Uh, right. So the next thing is we have to choose our main class. So the main class is super important because it defines your health, your defense stats, your how many actions you get a turn, and really importantly, your two passives. The passives can absolutely rewrite how you play the game. Um, in the case of Swashbuckler, if that's your main class, you have the two passives Scoundrel, and you've got which was Loot and Plunder, I believe. Yes, Loot and Plunder. So Scoundrel is a little crazy because it lets you use your dive action when it's not your turn. So you can kind of wait for someone to come at you to charge you, and you just whoop out of the way. Oop, there goes your turn. Sorry, right? But can also give you some nice extra movements. And if you're going for that mid-range sort of shooting, it combos with your ability, Weihei Roll and Go, which basically lets you shoot again for free, or rather with an SP, which is it. We'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, so Swashbuckler could be a very fun main class if you'd like to do this for the character. And you'll get all the abilities on that main class, as well as the two passives, and yeah, the health, the AP, and the defense.
Okay. So, let's see. Okay, that. Basically. Try not to clack my keyboard too loudly. Yep. Okay, so we got those, and it's gonna need. Basically, we get all the abilities correct.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll just go fire across the
Wide view.
bow.
Uh,
You can
way
do that
hit roll
halfway
and go.
through. Way go. No quarter. The northern gale. And place the colors.
So if you see those symbols next to abilities, those are requirements for if you're working towards them in a campaign, if you're training towards them. And some things can't really be trained for. So hoist the colors, for example, needs a sort of a reputation that would invoke that terror when you're pulling up the banner, right, of the group that you're with. Um, so yeah, they won't matter for us right now, but yeah, they're there for requirements in case someone is playing a longer running campaign.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Alrighty, so we've got our main class. Now we can look at our secondary classes. Now you said you wanted to Unseelie, right?
Yep, that made most sense to me.
Okay. Now you could, if you really want to be a very novice Unseelie that's still only just starting off, you could do a little bit of Unseelie and a little bit of Sharpshooter, which could help out your. Or if you'd rather go more into the melee side of Swashbuckler, you could go for a bit of Enforcer or Ronin.
Yeah, let's go with let's do the mix of Unseelie and um, the the first one you said, which is now basically left my brain. It's amazing.
Sharpshooter.
Sharpshooter, yes.
Yeah.
We'll do that mix. So,
Sure. So you get 4 abilities from these. You can go 3-1 or 2-2.
Unseelie and abilities. Let's see here. We have for under Unseelie, we have Wayward Souls, Favor of the Old Gods, Feast of Fear, Chaos of the Wilds, and the Hidden Folk. I like basically the Wayward Souls is great. Basically, the idea that they're a ship captain. Basically, they want to be a captain. They want to benefit others, so they're being a little bit of support with Wayward Souls.
All
So,
right.
whenever an enemy character is incapacitated, restore health to a visible target. Chaos of
Keep
the
in mind,
Wild.
a target can be you as well, so you can use
Ah,
this to heal
nice.
yourself.
Chaos of the Wilds. That's great. On start your turn, one of you roll a 6, roll an additional attack. Just I like the idea of just keep basically things keep rolling and happening in their favor. They've got that little bit of luck. Basically, they're starting down that path, and things are starting to go their way. Basically there's some higher power which is listening in and
Watching over
nudging their
them,
elbow.
likely the prince in this case
Mm-hmm.
is the Archfey of Spring.
That makes sense. And we'll go with sharpshooter. Uh,
Sharpshooter. So sharpshooter is pretty helpful. Uh, you could get a lot. You don't really need sustained fire because as a swashbuckler, you can do just fine with Way Hey Roll and Go to
mm-hmm.
get that extra shooting attack. But you could do something like quick draw or hold breath.
Mm-hmm.
Those could be great. Quick draw could be if you're focusing a lot on ranged. Being in melee could be very dangerous for you, so you can use this to just gun someone down right away, just to pew,
Nice,
as
nice.
they enter your melee range.
Yeah, let's
Um, hold breath would give you would also improve your shooting attacks if you want to do that.
yeah, let's go and do those. Quick draw and hold breath.
All
So
right.
make sure that we specify where those are from. Okay.
Right. That is excellent.
All right. Do you add
So
any? You don't add
now,
any hit points or anything like that from your secondary class, just abilities, correct?
no, they are left as they are. You do, however, get skills from all of your abilities. So every
Okay.
ability you get will give you bonuses to your skills.
Okay.
Alrighty. So the next thing we have to do is choose our equipment.
Okay. All right. So basically, the currency is basically this K credit. It looks like. So
Yeah,
basically,
so it's credits, but most things in the
uh,
book are dealt with in K credits. So
okay.
um, there are a few items, particularly at the end of the book, that can cost just regular credits, like 250 credits. Um, but yeah, most things are in K credits. So you have 6K credits that you can spend on whatever you want. Now, buying things from classes you have abilities in, you just pay the price that's in the book. You're buying it from a class you don't have abilities in, that's also viable. So you have to be able to pick it from your faction and your species, would cost double. So if you decide you really, really want to get a katana from Ronin, it's going to cost you 4K instead of 2K, uh, which can be worth it sometimes, but often it's not. Often it's more worth it to stick in the classes that you're working in. But yeah, with 6K to spend on Unseelie, Swashbuckler, and Sharpshooter, we've got a lot of good options.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Let's look at first. We'll look here at Swashbuckler. We've got a cutlass. We got a rail rifle, a rail pistol, a thermal fragmentation grenades, um, a personalized banner, and Odin's Eye, which is definitely the one in this case the most permanent of the choices. Replace one of your character's eyes with this item. If your character already lost an eye, you can remove any penalties. But you can zoom in, you can now zoom in and steady your weapons, all at the cost of an eye. I mean, you gotta take the eye and then get an eye patch to cover it so you can pull it off at just the right moment. Yeah, there you go. So we'll do that.
Yeah. No, I always recommend that you have some kind of melee weapon
Mm-hmm.
because I'm not sure if we're gonna have time to cover the mechanics of this. I'm not sure how much time we've got left, but um, melee is risky. It always goes back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
So if someone were to charge you and you don't have a melee weapon, you're effectively defenseless, and they would just get to cut you down without a chance for you to parry and stop their hits. So even a basic melee weapon, even a little dinky knife could make a big difference for you,
Mm-hmm.
or a martial art that can work too. But yeah,
Well, if we want to basically, we're just about at the end here. Basically, you would finish up. Basically, we've kind of talked about basically how the system works. Basically, in terms of basically you're getting basically everything is kind of based around these classes that you're picking, and it influences what equipment you can get and what skills you get, and you can do some other personalization because you get extra points for skills here right at the end.
yeah,
Um, so basically, if you want to move on into want to do basically, I know you set up a sample combat. If you want to
yeah,
basically let's
yeah.
move into that, we can actually
Uh,
see some of these things in action, and I think that'd
sure.
be a great way to
So
wrap this up.
I guess we'll give you a few weapons, take you in there, because I would
Sure.
like to use your character.
Oh, okay, cool. And then
And
I will,
so we're
I
gonna
will grab a, I will grab a couple weapons under swashbuckler here. Then
sure.
we've got a
Um,
cutlass.
I'd highly recommend the rail pistols. You're
Okay,
fantastic with your builds,
okay,
and you might want to dual wield those. So take two rail pistols. Pew,
okay.
pew.
We'll dual wield cutlasses and basically in rail pistols. That works great.
All right.
We'll do the
So that would be 3K and 2K. So that's leaves you with 1K left, which you could spend. Mm, possibly on a couple of grenades if you want, or maybe on something from the Unseelie or Sharpshooter.
Let's do a quick look
From
and see what we can find in here.
let's see here, uh, Unseelie doesn't have anything for 1K, but could always drop one of the cutlasses for a 2K item.
Mhm.
And the Sharpshooter, you could give your weapons the steady keyword with the aim correction module.
That sounds like a good idea.
Yeah,
Let's go with that.
but that would be 1.5. So you're zero point 0.5 credits over the limit.
Oh,
So you could dump one of the cutlasses
sure.
and just grab a grenade, and you'd be
Okay.
good.
We will drop one of those, grab a grenade, and then grab the shooter there. Shooter. By the way, I just want basically, as always is the case, I always appreciate people who actually spent a little bit of time in their PDFs to actually hyperlink things from the table of contents, so that they actually you're not just playing the game of, oh, I have to go over here and type it in. I always appreciate basically time spent. Uh, basically making things accessible and friendly.
Yeah.
Always appreciated. Okay, save that. Make sure it's been updated. Perfect.
We've got a fairly good character on our hands. Uh,
Dual
Sylvia
wheel,
Tails
dual.
also.
Dyslexic Cobalt basically just popped up in chat. Dual wheel, dual wheel, dual wheel, dual wheel. I mean, it's always cool to dual wield. I come from the generation that was raised on Drizzt Do'Urden in the Forgotten Realms. So basically twin scimitars always. All right. Oh, basically, I think I get some additional skill points. Okay, got that. Get that loading. All right, take care of that. Oh, that's back there. Beautiful. We'll wrap up character creation here. All right, I want last bit of skills here, so I need flash buckler. Make sure I get all of these correct. Okay, I've got those recorded. Let's grab these really quickly. Exactly what I'm getting into. Okay. So, final count on skills is. Okay. Actually, we got a +2 to acrobatics from skills.
Hmm?
I'm
You
adding up.
still get
Good.
you will get as well some bonuses that you can just do on your own.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, if you're not in a faction, you get a few extra because faction classes tend to have an ability, at least one that gives more skills. But yeah, you get a +1 and 4 skills of your choice, and you can just put them. Well, plus in your case, it's +6 actually because you're not in a faction. And you could put all these in the same skill or just scatter them around as you like.
Okay. That gives you plus one SP. So sleight of hand. I have 1, 2. Some hand. There's a sleight of hand here. It's a lazy 99 hits. Played before. A lot of fun. Looking forward to it. This game definitely looks like it's going to be great. Cool total. I think I only have 1. Intimidation. I have, I think, 2. 1 from there. 2. Nope, I have 3 intimidation. Plus 3 intimidation. Plus 1 occult. I think that gets everything. Plus 1 cool. I already got the plus 1 cool. So plus 1 occult. Plus 3 intimidation. Plus 1 SP. Make sure I get everything. And then basically because I'm a non. Because I was a non-faction, I get a plus 6 to skill. And basically, as a reminder of what the skills are, pop this over here. Picture. Yep. So acrobatics, athletics, biology, cool, deception, hacking, history, insight, intimidation, leaders, mechanics, medicine, occult, perception, performance, persuasion, reputation, sleight of hand, stealth, and survival. We got 6 points, so we're going to put a couple into stealth because we're a good swashbuckler. Occasionally, we're going to sneak aboard. We'll put another 1 into intimidation and another into acrobatics. That's a total of 4 so far. A couple into athletics because you got to be able to climb the main mast, as it were. And let's see here. Oh, deception, because eventually we're going to have to lie.
Absolutely.
So let's do 2 in deception. 2 in deceptions, 2 in athletics. No, wait, that's 1 too many. Ha. Because I did 1 point at 1. I booked acrobatics and intimidation. 2 in stealth. That's 4, and then 2 in athletics. So I don't think I've never. Cool. There we go. And then the plus 1 SP goes up here at the top. All right, I think we have a character.
Excellent. All right.
All right, let me pull this here, and then we'll switch over to the game you have set up. Perfect.
Yep. So before we get to that game, we are going to do the first type of combat in Quasar, because there's 2 types.
Okay.
And the first type is known as combat scenes, and this is lighter, more thematic, quick combat that's more about using your skill checks and rule of cool kind of to just describe what you're doing, take things out. So unfortunately, I don't have time for like a full narrative session, but we'll, but we'll set the scene. What was your character's name again? Vulpin, right?
Vulpin. We'll go with a nice simple fox name.
Named after the Vulpathian homeworld, I
Yep.
see. Well, Vulpin, you have been tasked by the Unseelie, this dreaded pirate group that you are oh so keenly aspiring to be a part of, to take care of a rival faction, a group known as the Crimson Sun. You know that they've managed to get into territory that would otherwise be entirely off limits to the Crimson Sun, deep within Vulpathian space. Something that is a flagrant bit of disrespect for the Unseelie's capabilities. As such, you've been sent to deal with them and to take out what has been found to be their little hideout, a warehouse previously used for um, shut down corporate products is effectively infested with these Crimson Sun. And their two leaders, an expert hacker known as Derek, and a rather problematic enforcer known as Mike, who, as you know, has killed a good few of your colleagues. You approach the outside of the warehouse on a humid uh, night, a bit far away from the city where you had come from, and as you come closer, you see a group of guards patrolling at the doorway. There seems to be two individuals wearing Crimson Sun armor with the kind of exaggerated large pauldrons and masks, emblematic of the Crimson Sun's equipment. One is holding what looks to be an Ares repeater rifle that is sort of like lazily slung over his shoulders, moving around. And the other is holding a sonic blade that he seems to be practicing cuts with, just doing a sort of Myers square cuts there, trying to hone his technique. A technique which is, to you, looks very sloppy.
Hmm.
What would you like to do?
All right. So, basically, first of all, basically, thank you for the YouTube sub. They're lazy hits. Much appreciated. And then, secondly, regarding this, how many entrances and exits are there to this warehouse?
You know that this being an old corporate warehouse, there's no such thing as safety standards.
Mm,
Uh, Therefore, it's just the one entrance slash exit. Probably a good reason why they chose it exactly for that. Um,
okay.
it would have good fireproofing, so not much chance to set it ablaze, but should something go wrong for the workers inside, there's only the one way in or out.
Okay. Let's see here. So, I have two choices. I can either do I make a lot of noise outside and try to draw them out, or do I try to disrupt them and sneak in and then cause chaos on the inside? Ooh, let's see here. Um, how alert do they look? Like, are these people who've been basically, I don't know if there's a check associated, but basically, how much do I think these people are really paying attention to their surroundings?
All right, so let's get to a check here. I like you to roll me your effort points. So
Okay.
3d3 and drop the lowest. You can
Okay.
roll that on your own table, or you can use the ones in Tabletop Simulator. Uh, there are dice rollers you can just drop them into, and they'll automatically sort out the rolls.
Okay.
So
So
you can just grab the
one,
3 and
two,
chuck them in there.
three. One, whoop, two,
Oh, all right.
and three.
Okay, so we're dropping the lowest. That's a total of 6 effort points.
All right.
Excellent. All right, so you can choose to give me here either an insight check if you want to try and see how capable these two look, or a perception check if you want to just get a lay of the surroundings to see how this looks, if there's more people around, perhaps watching their back.
And this is, of course, where we note the fact that my character did not put any points in any of those skills.
Oh, that's
So,
perfectly fine. Yeah.
so basically, we are looking at straight effort on this in order to actually figure this out. And these are blind, so I don't know what I need. Correct?
Well, you
Or
would know after you choose one.
okay, okay. So we'll take basically since they're the same, we'll take perception.
Okay, so for a perception check here, I'm gonna say you're gonna need a 3 in perception.
Okay, so I will. Let's go with that's. Hmm. Well, basically, let's go ahead and let me move these out of the way. I'm going to spend an effort point.
Okay.
And so basically, I need and I'm going to roll take a chance on the rest.
Yes. All right,
Got a three.
nice. That's
Okay.
great. You get a little bit closer, climbing up a tree on the side to try and get a better look what's going on. The branches creak under your weight, and you worry for a moment that they might snap and completely give away your location.
Mm,
But they hold. And from your location, from your vantage point, you get a better look at what's going on. The two at the door seem woefully underprepared. Uh, the one that's practicing the swings is very much distracted, and the one with his rifle lazily behind his back, you could probably get the jump on him with a good hit before he gets a chance to retaliate at you. Unfortunately, it looks like the door behind them is closed by a key card. It might be on one of them, or if you were a capable hacker, you might be able to get through that, but otherwise, fairly difficult. But the
okay.
good news is there don't seem to be any cameras outside or anything that would give away your position should you take these two guards out. If you do it silently, or possibly even not so silently, it might be that the people inside might not notice.
All right. So basically, what I want to do is basically I've got this tree position here, and basically hoping I basically these are it's close enough to the door that I can kind of launch, kind of shall we say dive out of the tree. In fact, and basically try to land between them and stab one of them. Stab the one basically it's making practice swings as I'm at least aware.
Okay.
Basically, and tried to take him out while pointing the gun at the other, and using intimidation to basically keep him silent so I can get information out of him.
All right. So we're going to start a combat scene here. Um, and that is going to be our first type of combat.
Awesome.
So combat scenes are a lot more limited in what you can do than in regular combat, where you
Mm-hmm.
can do these crazy combos and go all about, but you can still do quite a bit. Now, you get one action per turn, or if you have some kind of ability or something that can increase those, it can give you one more of that action, basically. And you can only do one free ability per round. You can do a maximum of one more for an effort point. So yeah. So so you wanted to dive out of the tree and go in and just stab the guy that's right there,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I'm gonna say you can effectively you're making a melee attack here against this person. You can choose to do this instead to do a because your dive is free in your case. I'm going to say you can choose to do this as a skill check for stealth to try and sneak up behind him and get him unawares.
Okay.
And if that's the case, I'll say you have one of two options. Either you go into melee combat with this person with retaliatory strikes and everything, or you pass me a stealth check of 4 or higher.
Okay. All right. I will do the stealth check.
All right.
Um, and I want basically this one seems important enough that I don't want to take a risk on it. So I've got a stealth of 2, so I will spend the 2 effort points, bringing me to 5 to 3. Spending them early, but we'll see how it works out. Basically automatically pass basically the stealth check at 4.
Excellent. All right. You dive out of the tree, and in a sudden movement, your cutlass just pierces through the opponent. He drops, and the other one turns his weapon towards you. You are out of actions. However, you could use your ability if you like here, either to try and use an ability for intimidation purposes, to use it outside of its norm, and I'll give you a skill check for that. Or you could use your Way Hey Roll and Go ability since you did a dive in this
Hmm.
case
Hmm.
to make a shooting attack against this person.
Basically, yeah, we'll do basically. We will basically. Can I use that basically as the intimidation? Basically basically
Yes,
get all the way through, but don't actually pull the trigger and just be like, drop your weapon. Basically, right
absolutely.
there.
Given the lethality of your your weapon there,
Hmm.
I'm gonna say I don't need to even give you the check for you to pass it. That's because had you gone for the shot, this person would not have uh, still been standing. Um, you watch as he throws his hands in the air, puts the weapon down. Goes, okay, okay, don't shoot.
Basically, whether or not I shoot or basically or not will be dependent on how helpful you are in the next few seconds. The door. How does one open it?
Get the key card, and it kind of points down at the corpse in front of you on the ground.
Excellent. How many people are inside?
Uh, that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 folks inside, but you're not gonna get past Mike. That's for sure.
What is Mike? Fearsome name, but basically I'm not intimidated by two consonants and two vowels.
He's the big guy in there.
Uh, that's a shame. Big guys make so much noise when they fall over. Well, let's see here. Anything else I should know? Hmm. I think that's enough because if I ask for anything more, you might start getting clever ideas about lying. So my only last question for you is, how fast can you run? And I will.
Uh, and he kind of like see him start to
and
panic a little bit.
I'll just
He looks
I'll flick a direction down the street.
sort of looks around him and then just bolts as fast as possible, leaving the gun on the ground in front of you. Uh,
Excellent.
you rather easily find the key card on the fallen Crimson Sun's person, and grabbing it to tap it at the door, it just immediately, with a big whoosh,
Yeah.
just opens.
All right.
Uh, you find, however, that the people inside, you're not quite certain how. Perhaps they've received a tip. Perhaps there've been some kind of tell on the way here. Already on alert. Their weapons drawn and ready at the door. And it looks like the two at the front weren't quite informed of this. Sort of thrown out for guard duty as a little buffer at their own detriments, regardless of what might happen to them. And that's where we're going to get to try all out combat.
All right.
So, all out combat is a little bit different. You're not going to use your effort points in this one. There are some enemies that might require it, and there might be some checks in here that might require it, some things like hacking checks or the like. But for the most part, you'll be relying on what's known as SP.
Mm.
So, SP is a resource that is incredibly valuable. You get 3 SP to start with, you gain 1 every turn, only 1 at the start of each of your turns, and you use it to trigger your abilities. Should you run out of SP, you're not much tougher than the people you're fighting. And you'll come to see very soon that the people you are fighting are incredibly fragile, but so are you without your abilities. So use it wisely and strategize wisely. You have
Mm.
perfect information here. You get to see how the enemies move, what their weapons are, and you can see their health, everything that they've got there. I'll be here to help you, of course. I'm not just throwing you to
Throwing
in
me
there
to the walls.
to get mowed down immediately, um, but yeah, there's quite a bit you can do. You can also interact with the environment around you. There's some things you can work with. There are 2 explosive crates here that you could blow up, and there's a forklift that you could activate to have it run forward and do some damage. The other thing you can do normally is your actions. So actions regenerate at the start of every turn. So you're a 2 AP class, so you can do 2 actions per turn. You can do each action only once per turn, unless you cheat, and you do that by using your abilities. So, so for example, your away hey roll and go ability can let you shoot twice on a turn, because you can shoot, dive, and then shoot again. It can also let you shoot when it's not your turn entirely. So that's very helpful. And yeah, um, movement is an action. There are different types of movements, and we'll get to those as we go, as we play. Um, but there are certain restrictions, things like terrain, there's obscuration. These play a very big part in Quasar. At this point of the game, when you're entering this side of combat, you're sort of entering war game territory, skirmish game territory. So you're gonna have to measure things out rather carefully and go from there. But yeah. So we'll get started with rolling initiative for the opponent, and then you'll get to position your character a little bit.
Okay.
So the initiative dice will determine the difficulty of this mission. You'll always be alternating actions. It'll be you, then a group of enemies, then you, then a group of enemies. It's not all enemies critically, and how many play will depend on the size of the initiative dice. So if we're playing on a D20 difficulty, less enemies will have the same initiative, and so less will play together at the same time. Versus, say, if we went for a D4, you're very likely to have a bunch that are going to be playing at the same time. But this is an introductory mission, so we don't have to go too wild about this. And we have about 10 enemies here. So we could go for, we could say, a D12 or a D20, depending on how difficult you'd like this to be.
Let's have mercy on my poor character here. We'll start with a D12. We'll see how.
Well, the D20 would be easier than the
D20. We'll do the D20. Sorry, yes. We'll do the D20.
All right. Let me grab us a D20 and I'm gonna copy it. And so what I do often for players is I'm gonna make a bunch of dice, copy a ton of them, and my players will usually help me out in rolling initiative. So just grab a die, put it next to an enemy, and then roll it.
Okay.
You can press R for that.
Yep. So this guy here. Roll. This one here. Roll. This guy here. Roll. Oof.
By the way, all the terrain and miniatures you see here are made for Quasar, and you can have them IRL if you want as well. So yeah,
basically, you have an incredible range of these minis and things like that. Just definitely call that out.
Yeah. So that's our initiative order. Oh, we've missed one guy.
Do I roll a D20 as well?
No, you don't. You get to go first.
All right.
Players always get to go first.
I always get to go first.
With one exception, if there are elites on the table, or if the players get surprised, the GM could allow that. But you always get the first go at it. So yeah.
Okay.
So I'm gonna let you. You can reposition yourself on the starting area. I'm gonna give you a circle here. 1 moment. This gets a little wonky. So anywhere within here, feel free to set up your character to start with.
Okay. We'll make a bolt for the staircase.
You can set your movement here to inches, and all units in Quasar are about 1 inch, just for the sake of matching up with a lot of wargaming tools that already people have and use. Alrighty, so we're getting started. Great. So you'll find on your side of the table, down over here, you've got 3 counters I've set up for you. And that's for your health, your SP, and your aggro. Set your health to whatever your health is on your character sheet.
Health 8. Put that back down. Okay.
For your SP, you start at 3, and you'll only get the bonus, get the new one when your turn starts. So there. For aggro, it's at 0, and we don't really need to track aggro for this game. Aggro will have it's a mechanic that lets enemies prioritize the person who's doing the most damage or the most healing. And in this case, it's a solo game, and you're not playing a high priest who has a mechanic where they summon a giant thing when they reach 100 aggro. So we don't really care to track it in this game. But typically, every point of damage and every point of healing gives you one aggro. So yeah, there are consequences to going a little bit too hard sometimes. If you're the squishy glass cannon character, you might want to rein it in a little bit so your tank can take the aggro and you're not the one who gets shot, right? Um, so yeah, but in this case, we don't really need to track it.
All
So
right.
it's your turn. You get to go first, and as your turn starts, you get your one SP, but you also get from your species passive one extra SP.
All right. Up to 5 SP.
That would be from Oberon's Chosen.
All right. So
Sorry, Chosen of.
my first question here, basically. So I've been informed that there's a large guy named Mike.
Yes, and that'll be the
So
Enforcer back
so
here.
he's that guy back
Enforcers
there.
are kind of scary. You can see all the character sheets down here, and we'll get to what they mean exactly in a moment. But it's got a lot of HP. That's 18 HP. He
Mm-hmm,
takes one
mm-hmm.
less from all sources. And if he gets to you in melee, he is going to cleave you in half.
Mm.
So,
I
rather
don't like that,
dangerous.
and so basically, I feel like let's see if we basically how he is currently conveniently standing next to an explosive
Yeah,
barrel.
and he's playing last,
So
so
so basically, let's go ahead and start by basically either basically in terms of let's see here, what is the range on that grenade I purchased?
yeah. So you've got your grenades have a range of 6, but they have the indirect keyword. What
Okay.
indirect does is it basically it lets you start the shooting attack from a point as far away as the range is. So you can start it from 6 units away at a visible point. So you can kind of throw it around something or over something
Mm-hmm,
in
mm-hmm.
that way. You can kind of bounce it around. So its effective range is 12 units, but it doesn't have to be a straight line. You can basically curve it in a way. So you could
Okay.
go for 6 and 6, and that would reach him without any obscuration or cover.
Okay. And
Um, but given that he's playing kind of late, we do have another danger here that we do have to watch out for.
okay.
And that would be the Black Hat hacker sitting on top of the crate up there.
Ah, yes.
So the hacker isn't hard to take out, but if you don't take him out, his passive cyber attack means that there's a chance that he could disable all of your keywords and passives at the start of his turn,
How rude. Yeah.
which
Right.
is
So
incredibly rude. Indeed.
yes. So um, basically the thermal fragmentation grade says this item is conceivable and stackable on your turn. You may perform an extra range attack for no cost with the following profile. So does that mean I can
Yes,
shoot the hacker and throw the grenade at Mike over here?
absolutely. You could definitely do that.
All right, let's.
You've also got, because of your dual wields,
Mm-hmm.
you can shoot twice.
Oh, right, even better.
It's a special thing on there. So you could get 2 targets and
Mm-hmm.
then toss a grenade if you like.
And we could also do that and then dive up the stairs to hopefully dodge some of the incoming fire.
Yeah. You could still move as well. So you've got 2 actions.
Mm-hmm.
The second one's gonna be free, and the grenade is free. So you could just move and save your dive for the enemy turn,
Okay.
because that can give you an advantage to like shoot on their
All
turn
right.
instead.
So we will start with the shooting and then we'll move after that.
So an important thing to remember is who's playing next. It'll be
Okay.
fives here.
Yep.
And if this guy goes down, it's gonna go. Oh, sorry, it's gonna be threes here. So threes first,
Mm-hmm.
then 5, and then 6. If the 3 were to die, it would go to the 5, and he would play next.
Okay.
So keep that in mind and use cover accordingly. If you are in melee range, you cannot be shot. Keep that in mind.
Okay. So basically, if I move in such a way I can put the put this between, uh, basically put this box between me and it, and then I'll get to go
Mhm.
before Raider upstairs go, and I can possibly drop him, continue upstairs. Then behind,
Yeah,
does
you
the guy
can,
behind him? No, the guy all the way over here goes after that.
down there would be shooting. And that guy, high ground would remove your cover, but that guy
Okay,
is lower than you, so you could have some cover up on the railing.
okay. So let's get cover between myself and this guy on my movement here. All right, where is ruler? It's been a hot second since I've been in here.
You'll be in the line to him.
That's what I would think, but
Now you've got high ground over this guy. Technically, your base is higher than his, so you would have a clean shot if you want to
okay.
take him out.
I want basically. I think I still want to focus on the hacker and Mike, just to
Right.
at least get basically make some noises behind them and maybe make them flinch a little bit, and then put some blocking between. It's over, Anakin. Somebody has the high ground. All right, so let's go ahead and start basically. Actually, I want to move first so I don't have them, so I can get even with him.
Mhm.
Um,
So for stairs, we're just going to ignore the vertical movement. You can just measure it out normally.
okay, so that's 1 inch there.
So a move can go up to 6,
Okay,
but
so
it has to be done whole action. So you can take it less or more, but once you finish the action, that's it. The rest of it is
okay.
lost to you for that turn.
So if I go there, do I have
Yeah.
cover? Basically, I want to get basically about even with the hacker, but possibly get some cover between me and this guy down
Yeah,
here.
so this guy down here is not going to try to shoot you. Most likely, he's going to try to charge you in melee.
Okay.
And he's going to have a bit of a time with it because he's going to have to go over these crates,
Mm-hmm.
and that's
Mm-hmm.
going to slow him down. And if he can't reach you, he's going to shoot you with his crappy little
He's gonna
pistol.
move there, and then he's
So
gonna plink at me, and that'll be fine. So yeah,
yeah,
we'll do
so
that. We'll move there, and then we'll fire at basically the hacker, and then chuck the grenade at the enforcer.
okay, so let's make a shooting attack.
All right.
For shooting attacks, we're going to look at our ranged weapon. In this case, you are using the dual wielded
Yep. Hassad rail pistol.
Hasid rail pistols.
Yep.
Yes,
That's it.
indeed. So the first number on those is going to be the amount rolled.
4.
Actually, uh, one moment, because I don't. The Monte Simulator doesn't have the hyperlinks on it, so I have to keep clicking. So I'm just going to open
Oh
it
no.
over here. There we go. So yeah, normally this would be 4, but yeah, it is yes because you're doing it. So 4 dice are going to be rolled.
Okay.
So you're rolling 4 dice to see for your shots. Okay. There was one that was already here, so this was the one you rolled, I think.
Yep.
And your opponent is going to roll their defense dice to see if they stop anything. This is
Okay.
just your armor and your capability of, or and sometimes how lucky you are, but usually it's your armor, how well it stops bullets. Okay, so what does any of this mean? Now the second number is what hits for you.
Mm-hmm.
So
This is
4 is the 4 dice. The 3 plus in your case is what's a successful hit. So any dice you roll that's a 3 or higher is a success. In your case, they're all successes. A roll of 6 is a critical hit. So you've got 1 crit. And for the opponent, we gotta check their defense stat. This is the hacker. They have a 4 plus defense. So they save on a 4 or higher. So they got 2 regular saves here. The next thing we want to check is our keywords. So your weapon has
rend 1
2
and
keywords.
breach 1.
Correct. And a third one because you took the aim correction module.
Ah, right.
So that's also got steady.
Steady.
So steady lets you reroll each of your dice once if you want. They're all successful, but in case you want to fish for crits. But since you have rend 1, your successful crit lets you turn a regular hit into a critical.
Okay.
So you can shift one of these into boom.
Yep.
A crit. Right. So the other keyword you have is breach 1. That means for every critical hit rolled, you deal 1 point of damage immediately before saves, before anything is done. So you deal 2 points of damage just before anything to this person, and they're down to 6 HP. Now, they're going to try to stop some of your damage. They can put 2 saves here, so stop 2 regulars, or they can combine 2 regulars to stop a critical.
Hmm.
It's the same in this case because you do 2 on the 2 is for like because your damage is 2/4, so you do 2 for a normal hit, 4 for a critical hit. So it doesn't really matter which one they do. They're just going to stop the 2 normal hits over here. So they're going to take 4 and 4 for 8 points of damage. With the 2 more from the breach, that's 10. And the hacker drops as your pistol kind of rings out with a sharp clang as the rail pistol just lets that projectile out. Yeah, this enemy is out. All right. Now, since you have the dual wields, you can shoot again if you like.
Okay. We will... Basically, in that case, we will go with the guy who's going next, the Marauder downstairs.
Marauder downstairs. So let's see if you can see him. Yeah, I'd say you can see his head.
Okay.
Can you reach him though? Yes, I'd say you reach. He's within 6 of you.
Excellent.
So normally this person would get the obscured condition, which gives you a -1 to all your rolls. But because you have the high ground, that condition is gone.
Okay.
So, yeah, go wild.
Ooh, not quite as good this time.
Not quite as good, but you do still have the steady keyword.
Yep, so we will re-roll the 1.
Get these out of your way.
And get a 2.
Oh, still
very
misses.
exciting.
All right. Oh, is it still a miss actually? You hit on 3s, right?
Yep,
Yes,
this
you
is
hit
on 3. So I got 3 hits.
Okay. Well, we can leverage one of our abilities here because you have the ability Hold Breath.
Yep, and this game Hold Breath allows me to looking that back up. Add 1 to each of your attack dice roll basically during that shooting attack.
Yes. So our opponent has 2 normal saves, and in this case, they would stop 2 of your hits. You'd only deal 2 damage, and they would very much survive.
So if we add +1 to each of these, that would become basically they would become a crit, and then the rest would be normal and hits. Okay.
Absolutely.
Let's go ahead and do that.
And this
then.
would be normal hits. So. And more than that, this is going to trigger the rent keywords, so you can also get another crit.
Excellent. So we turn this one into a crit.
Yes.
All right. That basically doing that did spend an SP, correct?
Yes, that deducts 1 of your SP. Your maximum is 6, though, so you don't want to hoard it.
Don't want to hold
too
it too
much.
Okay.
Yeah. So, same as before. Well, now you get same damage as before. 2 from the breach. This person stops 2 regulars, and they take 4 and 4. You also take this one out with the clean second shot. Brilliant work.
Awesome.
All right, so you've used all of your actions for your turn.
Except that I can chuck the grenade as a free if I want. Well, yeah, basically.
You can.
Yeah, we'll just go ahead and do that. We'll just basically come in with a bang. Make sure it's maximum chaos and confusion. Fits the character. So
all right, lobbing the grenade
6 dice.
There. Yes.
1, 2,
so this has the explosive keyword, meaning that it targets everything within 2 units of the target. That includes the explosive crate over here. So this is going to go off after the grenade.
That's what we're hoping for.
You are unfortunately out of reach of anyone else, but that's fine. Keep in mind, explosive can hurt your allies too, and yourself. So be careful when you're using it.
Okay, this hits on a 4+. So we have 2 hits. That was a 1.
So our enemy is going to roll 3 dice for saves. This person saves on a 3+. It also has a passive here. Ooh, two
Ooh.
criticals. And the passive here is tough as nails. So they take one less point of damage from all sources.
Okay.
Pretty tough. But yeah. All right,
So
what's your roll?
I could push into Chaos of the Wilds until the start of your next turn, which you should have
Ooh,
just done this at the beginning. But until the start of your next turn, whenever you roll a 6 on an attack die, roll an additional attack die, which would let me
yeah.
give 2 more dice
So,
here.
and normally you would have to do that before the roll,
Mm-hmm.
but
Okay.
we're, it's fine.
Okay.
So,
We're probably a little fast in this.
alrighty.
So we
So
will
I'll
go ahead
duct
and
you
roll.
an SP here, and you
Yep.
can roll those extra dice.
Well, let's check
And
yours. Oof. Dice have said no. This game, I pushed my luck too much,
I don't
and
like
the
it.
prince does not agree with my luck pushing.
Either way, with the duration of it, this can still be helpful with
Yep.
other rolls that are coming
Okay.
up. So yeah, this is great. So this person's going to stop 2 critical hits.
Okay.
Do you have any keywords on your grenade?
Rend 1.
Okay, so we can change one of our normals into a critical.
Okay. So we will put that to a 6.
Great. So pretty heavy armor there. He's going to stop 2 of the criticals,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to do a crit and a normal. How much damage would these normally do?
It's 3/4.
Okay, so 4 for the critical, 3 for the normal.
Right.
But with tough as nails, it takes 1 less from each. So he's
Okay.
taking 3 and 2. So
Okay.
5 points of damage. All right. Now I'm just going to mark his health here. Get another die. And he's going to go down from 18 to 13. Get D20 here. And it's a different colored one, just so we know it's health.
Yep.
All right. However, this attack also hits everything else. And given that you have a successful hit, it automatically blows up the explosive crate back here.
Woohoo.
So we're going to remove this terrain piece, and it's going to go off and deal 2 damage. Well, not 2 damage, sorry. It's going to deal damage to everything within 2. That includes the catwalk behind it, which might collapse.
Uh-huh.
So that's going to be, this is a terrain feature. You can find these in the book for volatile. So it's 5 dice hitting on 3 plus, 4, 5 explosive. So I'm going to roll these.
Okay.
So 3, 4, 5, because this would be technically an attack from the GM rather than from you.
Mm-hmm.
Could have been better. And we're going to roll defenses for the Enforcer. He's just taking them like a champ.
Jesus.
And he stops a critical and regular, but he takes a regular hit there for 4 more damage. And that's going to be 3 damage for him. So it's going to go down to 10.
All right.
And this is also going to hit the catwalk with enough damage to make it collapse. So it's going to drop and bring down the guy that's standing on it.
Awesome. The moderator's giving me a 15-minute warning.
Alrighty. Yeah, we're not going to go through the whole...
Yep. We're getting a good picture here. Basically, interactive bits and moving and strategy. I'm really enjoying it.
Yes, indeed. And so this guy's going to fall off of here, and he's going to take fall damage of the units that he fell times D3. So 2d3 damage from the fall. And that's going to be 2 and 3. Pretty nasty tumble. So that's going to drop him 2 and 3. So yeah, he's going to be down to 3 HP. Okay. Right. So that would be your turn there. So we're going to go to enemies, and let's see what they can do. We're going to go to 5s, because that's the first one over here. And we're going to check the enemy's decision trees. Again, this is a system where most of the time you have very complete information as a player. The dice are rolled in front of you. What the enemies are going to do, you know what they're going to do, unless they're an elite, which is basically a player character controlled by the GM. And those are really good. And yeah, we're going to look at the Crimson Sun Raider over here. So what do they want to do? The first thing they check is, can they shoot the aggro target? You're the aggro target. And can they shoot you? Yes, they can. So they're going to go straight for the first thing in the decision tree, shoot and take cover. So this person's going to try to make a shooting attack against you.
All right.
You do have cover, though, with the railing in front of you. So this is going to be done with a -1 to the roll that's on it. Let's see about that. They shoot with an Ares repeater rifle. That's 6 dice hitting on 5s with an unwavering and the zoomed in keyword. You're too close for the zoomed in keyword to actually do anything, so your odds are pretty good. If you go down to this, it's a matter of very bad luck. And 6. All right. So they get to reroll all once because of the unwavering keyword. And you get to roll, you get to roll 3 dice for your defenses, but because you have cover, you can choose to automatically retain one of them before rolling as a normal success.
Okay.
So they're going to reroll the ones because of unwavering.
So I get 3 dice, but I'm retaining one of them, so I get a 2.
Again, the 1. There we go. So these are still failures. This person only got 1 normal hit because the 6 is a -1. Comes a 5.
Okay.
Yeah. So you're fine. You're totally fine. The shot they're caught off. He's caught off by surprise by your sudden onslaught, and the shot just misses you, kind of glancing by and hitting the railing next to you and the wall behind you.
All right.
Yeah. And this person's gonna take cover over here. We've got. We tend to put in little markers there with these little crab markers. There are, of course, official Quasar crab cover crabs that exist, but I haven't imported them here.
That's awesome. I like the cover crabs. That's great.
They're available for all statuses: poison crab, terror crab, everything. So,
It's all crabs. It's all crabs. Just makes sense.
That's the enemy turn, and it goes back to you. But if you'd like, before the turn ends, you can use that free dive that you have, since the opponent played turn. So you could dive and maybe use your way, hey, roll and go, and shoot before your turn even starts.
All right. Yeah, basically we would go ahead. Let's go ahead and do that. We'll end things out.
Yes.
So we will dive. Basically, diving is how far?
Dive is 3 units and can ignore vertical unit up to 1 unit high.
So can I get to the top of the stairs?
Yes.
So get to the top of the stairs, and then we would open fire on our poor unsuspecting. Basically.
Yes, you would. Yeah. So without obscuration, since you have a clean shot, the take cover does nothing.
So we draw 4 in. 4, 3, 3, 6.
These are no saves, because the saves on 4s.
Well, that's a bad day for them.
Yes, indeed. And that's going to be
red.
a very...
That means that one of my hits becomes a crit. And crits immediately do 2 damage, and then so 4, 8, 10.
4, 8, and then another 4. And yeah, so 14 damage. Very overkill. Which is a mechanic, in fact. You can... So overkill is not optional in ranged combat. The damage due that's extra is just going to go in. In melee, which unfortunately I don't think we're going to have time to go over, you can choose to hold back your extra hits if you take down an opponent. And so you can choose to hold back the aggro that you're getting there instead of rolling that. Or if you really want people to focus you because you want to be the big bad target in the center, you could sort of go extra on there and just keep hitting the person even while they're down, making you the aggro target for people to take you out. But yeah, I'm not sure if we have time for a quick melee demo. I could throw someone in your melee range.
Let's see here. We got the 15-minute warning about a couple minutes ago, so we probably should go ahead and wrap it up at this point.
Yeah.
As much as I would love to do the melee demo. So No, you are fine. Basically, we are.
You're all
Yeah, you're good. Basically, do not apologize for having a life outside of stream. Basically, I will 100% get wrapped into TTRPG. That's why I love doing this, being able to talk to cool people with cool games, and I will spend 16 hours doing it. People have jobs and lives. It's fine. All right. So, basically, thank you so much for bringing this here. Basically, this has been great. Basically, I loved it. Basically, even in this little thing, we have terrain damage, falling, explosions, chaining off other explosions, dives. Very cinematic. I get what you said earlier about this being very action oriented, very much. You got dives and rolls and explosions and basically dual wielding and things like that. So yeah, basically I really appreciate it, really exciting. So basically I'll turn it over to you. Basically, so people are interested in Quasar. What's going on with Quasar? Where can they pick it up? What's new? What's coming out? What are your plans with this going forward?
Absolutely. So they can pick up Quasar on itch.io on my page, and I'm assuming there's going to be a link probably somewhere.
Yep. There'll be one in the
Uh,
YouTube video description. Basically, there goes up later, and there'll be one that will pop up in chat right there. Perfect timing.
yes, there you go. And the game's free to pay what you want. Um, Obviously, if you'd like to support its development, because it is currently still in the late stages of development, you can either decide to pay any amount that you like on itch.io, or you could pick up some of the terrain and miniatures that are 3D printable over on my mini factory. I make lore specific terrain and minis for the game, along with these terrain features that are you can engage with. So the catwalk you saw here that's collapsible was a little bit underwhelming in Tabletop Simulator, but in real life, you would pull a pin and it would literally drop, and it
Awesome.
would give you that that motion there for your characters. Um, and yeah, if you'd like to play with us, we have a Discord community. There's a link in the rulebook as well as on the itch.io page. We play on Tabletop Simulator there. We have some very dedicated players that love to create their own builds and make their own games and write all that together. And particularly if you're, a min-maxing gremlin who likes to, really get in the weeds there and go wild with that. This is a system that gives you a chance to do that without it being a problem for your GM, without it making their life miserable. So you can have a lot of fun with that with our community in cooking up certain builds and really going wild with it.
That's
And yeah,
great.
stay tuned. More updates to come. More terrain, more minis to come as well. And yeah, thanks for having me.
No,
This
no.
is
Basically, yeah. Thank you so much for bringing this. Basically, I've really enjoyed. Basically, I like that both aspects of the system have some really great, interesting stuff. I love the basically the rolling, the rolling less, as it were, with the effort system and the points where you have things your character is good at. They're just going to be good at it. They don't have to be like, oh, my character decided today not to be good at intimidation because I can't roll over a 2. Um, but you can be like, oh, that way basically my character is good at, and you have to push it, then you can. But there are just things some characters are going to be good at, and that's great, and I love it. And the combat system is obviously a labor of love. I love all the detail and all the interactions which have been put together to basically make it play out and make it interesting and cinematic, and it's great. I appreciate it so much. Um, so basically, it's been great having you here. And
thank you
that's
so
gonna
much.
that's gonna let to wrap things up. I will basically, if you saw me earlier, I was running. Basically, I was playing around with basically the system I was playing around with. Basically LoreLink is our campaign management tools where you can basically dump all of your GM information. So if you're crafting an epic, basically multi-system campaign, basically I actually started to before basically when we doing this, I started crafting out my own little game using the world and things like that. Where basically it was like, oh, it's gonna be a heist. Basically, people would come in, they would be stealing stuff, they get ambushed on the way out. Basically, it would be basically the whole thing. I could plant all of that inside of LoreLink. So I've got all sorts of cool like locations, like the Ouroboros station, and then all the different parts, basically enemies and things like that, which I pulled directly from the book. I've got that, and I even have the like the flow chart in there, so I can pull that up right there, so I can look at all that basically right away. So basically that's what Lord Link is for helping you organize those things, pull them together, put them all into one place, and make your life as a GM just a little bit easier when you're dealing with cool systems that have a lot of different moving parts, or cool campaigns which have a lot of moving parts, or players that will throw you all sorts of curveballs and loops, and you're having to invent things on the fly. All those stuff can get stored in the lore link, and they're system agnostic, so it works great for Quasar, works great for whatever other system you're playing. If you want to know more about it, you can check it on the website that basically the moderator put in chat. Basically, you can also check us out on Blue Sky. You can also follow Arcane on Blue Sky as well. You can also check out our newsletter, which will be coming out later this week. If you're like, hey, I don't want to deal with social media, fair. Basically, you'll get a newsletter once a month. We'll talk about all the cool things we're doing, whether development or indie creators we're having or things like that. So you can check us out there. So thank you again. Thank you all so much for watching. Thank you so much for being here. Basically, if you caught the stream partway through, we do have a YouTube channel. Basically, thanks again, basically, for the subscription over on YouTube. And thank you all for watching. Basically, much appreciated. Thank you, Arcane, for being here and showing off this cool system. I
Thank you
appreciate it so much.
so much for having me, and I hope we can play some games together in the future as well. That would be
Awesome.
a
That'd be
lot of fun.
great. Yeah.
All right.
We will catch you all later. Thanks, y'all.
Thank you.